Hello, this is my first tutorial. I hope it helps some people, and I just thought that I might try out a video tutorial for you guys since everyone seems to be interested in what I was doing. So right now on screen you should be seeing kind of the end result. It's not really the end result, it's still in very buggy alpha, but this is what we're going to achieve. It's a camera in VR that you can move around and film your scenes and capture game footage of your animations or your gameplay levels or anything else that you might want to show off in a trailer or to use to create content. So for those of you that have seen my main project, you may have seen some of the more advanced features like stabilization, auto leveling, refined camera controls and lens encoding, independent locomotion, tracking for tracking the recording the tracking data and replaying it back, NDI in and out, integration with TriCaster and OBS, multi-users and multiplayers, character possession and puppetry, and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to cover any of that because that would take me days worth of YouTube tutorials. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go with the basics and I'm going to get you set up with a camera, and if there's interest maybe I'll start doing these more regularly and we can go into some of those more advanced features and build on as a series so you can follow on every week with the tutorials to basically end up with the app that I have at the end. So let's get started. In order to get started, we have to launch Unreal. So let's open our Epic Games launcher here. And we will open UE 4.24. And from there, we're going to create a games project. We're going to pick virtual reality. Going to be doing it in Blueprint. I'm going to go scalable 3D or 2D because the LODs are really useful, especially for the original project that this comes from, in which I'm building it as an APK to be sideloaded and run natively on the Quest. So obviously we're also disabling ray tracing. I actually am leaving it desktop console. There's some reasons behind that. It's not really that important though. That's my setting. Feel free to change it if you want. I would personally leave it at desktop console if you're going to follow along with me though. I'm going to go with no starter content, but you can feel more than welcome to use the starter content. It gives you some stuff to put in there and play around with if you're just going to have a fairly blank scene. I'm going to give our project a name. I'm going to call it VR Cam Tutorial, and then we're going to create the project. So it's going to take a little bit to load. If your development machine's anything like mine, you might want to just run off, make a quick coffee, come back. But I can cheat, and here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, so we're loaded into the editor, and we're here at the VR blueprint. We're going to go straight into virtual reality blueprint, maps, and motion controller map, which is fun. And let's just start a VR preview and make sure that our headset is being detected by, oh, there we go, look at you being all difficult, there we go. Make sure our headset is detected by Unreal and Unreal's happy, and whatever headset software you've got is happy. Mine is not, and that's helpful for the tutorial. Yes, please, thank you. There we go, okay. Cool, so the base project is working. Oh, I just punched my laptop screen. Okay, so we know that works, so that's always good to test as we go to make sure that we don't end up going, oh, why is this not working in VR, and then find out that you didn't even have the VR enabled properly. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add the camera. In order to add the camera, we're going to create a workspace for the camera. So let's call it VRCam. And put it in the content folder as a new folder. And then we will create a new actor. And let's call that VR camera. Okay. While we're here, just to save coming back, let's add a new render target. So that's under materials and textures, canvas render target, and let's call that one VR camera underscore render target. Alright. So now we're going to drag the actor into the scene. It's just going to sit there like a little ball. We're going to open up the blueprint, and then we're going to start building our camera. So what we'll do here is we will add a 2D capture component, scene capture component 2D, sorry. Then we will add a static mesh. Now there is other ways that don't use the static mesh. You can enable the mesh on the actual scene capture component 2D. I specifically do it this way because it allows you to customize the look of your camera in the, your particular application, which is why I like doing it this way. So we've got the static mesh, then we're going to add a plane, and then we're going to take the plane, put it under the static mesh, take the static mesh, choose the, actually before we do that, what we need to do is go into, oh wait, no, hang on, sorry, we'll come back. We're going to go in here and type Cine, and we're going to find the Cine, make sure you've got view options, show engine content. Then we're going to find the Cine camera from the engine. Then we're going to hit the little magnifying glass there. That'll take us to the Cine cam in the engine. There, we're going to show this. We're going to go to our VR cam. No, we're not. We'll go back. We're going to show this. We're going to take our CineCam actor, CineCam mesh, sorry, and pop him into VR cam. Click copy. Then we've got a CineCam mesh here. Let's call this VR cam mesh. Boom. And then we can go back and hop in here. Okay, so now we've got a mesh on. Let's make sure we've got the right one. VR cam mesh. Alright, so let's go through and quickly get the rotation and everything set up. So what we'll do is rotate it 90 there so that it's facing the same way. Go back to movement. Alright, bring it back, bring it down. Now what I like to do is line up these two little follow focus knobs. That gives you almost a really good alignment for picking up the camera with the 2D scene capture component without covering anything where you're going to have to worry about any kind of conflict and stuff. So that's a good way to line it up. Is just line up the little bit there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take scene capture component 2D, texture target, and we're going to choose our VR camera render target. And then we're going to take the plane, but before we do that, we have to go back here and let's create a material, render target material, check, open that. Now we're going to hit, we're going to hit emissive color, unlit. Now we've got an LED screen, yay. Close that. Open the VR camera back up, go to viewport, click on the plane, change this to VR camera render matte, and then you get a look at what it looks like. So from there, we're going to go there. We just VR camera render target. Sorry, that's my bad. Let me just VR camera render target map. Now you might see the black like that. That's fine. Just hit play in editor. There you go. Now you can see it. What we'll do here is we will then take the plane. We will stop. We know which one is the top direction, so we go 16 by 9, and then here we will unlock. Make sure it's unlocked, and we'll go 16 by 9. I don't know why mine was locked. It's normally unlocked by default. We'll set this to 1. There we go. Then you lock it. Then you take this, and let's go 0.2. No, 0.02. Now you've got a tiny little LED screen. We know that that's the top, so we're going to bring this forward, bring it up. Go rotation, bring that down 90 degrees. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to have a screen that's floating next to the camera. In my main one, I've actually matched it to this screen here perfectly, so that you can actually have the monitor integrated into the camera. But it's a pain and finicky, so I'm just going to, for this tutorial, show you as a floating screen. Feel free to spend the time to make yours nice and on the camera body if you want, or if you've got a different mesh you want to use and there's a material option for it, feel free to throw the material straight on there as the VR camera render target material. Alright, let's just hit compile there, and then we will go over to the event graph, which is going to be fun. So we'll get rid of this in the middle, the overlap, we don't need that. Then we're going to go in here and we will start with the begin play. So we're going to go set spectator screen mode, and we're going to change that to texture, and then we're going to go set spectator screen texture, and we're going to leave that there. We're going to collapse those into a function. This will help for later on. We will call that set spectator camera, and we'll open that up. We'll go through here, and we're just going to attach the texture to the set spectator camera thing there. So now we can go back to the event graph, and we've got in texture. Now what we can do here is let's promote that to a variable, and we will take that variable, name it VR cam 1 render. Then we'll hit compile, VR cam render target. So let's find our VR camera render target. So that's in there. The reason we do this is so later on you can actually have multiple cameras and you can then switch between them. It's really cool. So just trust me on why we collapse that as a function to keep everything nice and neat and make life easier later on. Then we go across to initialize input. Of course, that is one of my custom functions, so I need to, it's actually enable input. So we'll go enable input, and then from there we will go get player controller, and we'll go across. I have a custom function over there, but for this purposes of this one, we will just leave it with the enable input. Maybe one of the later tutorials, I will go into my player controller inputs, which allow you to have multiple players controlling multiple things and camera operators and directors and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun, but a bit out of scope of this quick tutorial. So after we're done with that one, we're going to go and make sure that that actually works. So let's hit compile. Oh, what's going on? Save. Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, I don't know why the compile was staying as a question mark for a while there. Probably been racing through it, and Unreal's just like, no, stop. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to see if the camera is working, which means if we hit VR preview, we can see the camera. So now what we're seeing, you can change the resolutions and everything. I'll go through those options at the end, but we can see what the camera sees on the spectator view on screen. And then if I was to go over to my VR view over here, you'll see that the VR player, so the VR player actually is independent of the spectator view with the camera there, which is fun. So, wait, I haven't enabled that yet, but so there we go. So that function is now working. The function to see on the spectator view on the computer the full screen render of the camera. All right, now let's go back into the blueprint and do the next part. So the next part is maybe the spectator sometimes needs to see what the VR player is seeing. So what did I do? I drew. That went down pretty far, didn't it? So what we're going to do here is first off comment this off. Always comment. Commenting is good. Let's call it initialize camera. No, I spelled that wrong. Sorry about that. Initialize camera. Yep. It's been a long day. Sorry, guys. Then I'm going to hit 1. So keyboard event 1, 2, keyboard event 2. Cool. And then we're just going to drag this off and set spectator camera. And then we're going to grab VR render 1. So that's going to switch to camera 1. Let me just make sure that, yeah, it is on texture mode. Just wanted to double check I've done that already. And then on pressing number 2, we want that to actually be the VR player. So what we're going to do is set spectator screen mode to single eye. There we go, fun. Now what that means is let's check that that one is working. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, we can switch between the VR player and camera 1. Obviously, later on, you can add more cameras, have them different key bindings, maybe go to the numpad or something like that, so you've got the way to switch between a bunch of different cameras, and the VR player can just walk around and move the cameras anywhere they want. Make sure you make it obvious for the VR player which camera is which. Big old number 1, number 2, etc. on the back of them is a good idea. But yeah, that is the basic functionality of that. So comment, switch camera, boom, easy, done. See, we just power through this. It's going really fast, really good, and we'll get this all done really quickly. Okay, so after this one, we're going to go with, where am I? Sorry, guys. Yeah. Now, the problem is, I said this would be in VR and you'd be able to pick everything up and move it around, and I haven't done that yet. So let's work on that. We're going to go, first off, we're going to have to go into the class settings, interfaces. And this is why we're using the VR blueprint. Of course, if you've started this in your own project, you'll need to get these interfaces in your blueprint somehow with your character pawn. I don't know your particular setup. You've decided to bring this into your blueprint, so I'm going to leave that up to you. But for everyone else who's following along from the fresh VR blueprint, we're going to go with the event pickup. So pickup actor interface needs to be turned on there. So there we go. We've now got the pickup actor interface. We can go in the event graph. Make sure you hit compile. Then we're going to go. Is that still running? No, it's not. Okay. My UI is a little bit buggy. That's a bit weird. We're going to go event. Just type pickup. Actually, it's easier to find it. Event pickup there, and then over here drop, and we'll find event drop. From those two, we're going to go to set collision enabled static mesh. So that's just the camera there, and we're going to make that no collision. And then we're going to go down and do the same thing over here. Let's just copy actually and make life easier. There you go, set collision enabled. Oh, help if I copied what exactly what I wanted, wouldn't it? So set collision enabled. So here we're actually going to turn the collision back on. So when we're holding it, it's not collidable. When we drop it, it is collidable, so we can pick it up again. From there, we're going to go to attach to component, and we're going to go with keep world, keep world, keep world. Make sure world simulated bodies, parent to attach to, and then down here we're going to go. Oh, before we do that, we're going to add a variable, and we're going to call it is grabbed. Now, you don't need this yet, but later on this will significantly help when you want to add things like ISO and zoom and focal lengths and all that kind of stuff, because that way you can have it so that the controls for the camera on the face buttons of your touch controllers are only enabled when you're holding that camera. That stops you from touching all the cameras, like changing all the camera settings when you're not picking up that camera. It also means that they can be bound to other things when you've not got a camera picked up. So we're just going to have that is grabbed Boolean variable there. We're going to go set is grabbed to yes, because it is grabbed. Then from here we're going to bring this one down, and we're going to go detach from actor. Set is grabbed to no. Cool. Let's clean all of that up. There we go. Bit neater. That's there we go. And now we will comment. Oh, before we comment, let's make sure it works. We'll hit compile. Wait, it won't work yet, actually, sorry. So we now have to go in and get to our static mesh, make sure that's on movable, make sure the default scene roles are movable. Okay, go to our static mesh, hit navigate. It should already be there, but there we go. We're going to open the mesh, we've got to go in here and we've got to go collision, show the simple collision, collision. We're just going to add a box collision for now, that'll do the job. We'll hit save. We need a collision so that we can actually detect when we're picking it up. Now that that's done, we go back to the level quickly, make sure we click on that and that it is not static, everything needs to be movable so that it's not freaking out. There we go, cool. Which means if I hit play now, I should be able to go and pick that up. Hey, and I picked up the camera and I can move it around. So this is the end of this quick little tutorial. I'll do a more advanced one later which can show some of the cool stuff like all the cool extra features, like we'll how to add a gimbal stabilization options to the camera, how to make the camera be able to be controlled by a mouse and keyboard or a gamepad, how to affect the aperture and the ISO and the lens focal length in with the touch buttons mapped to them, so that you can, when you pick up the camera, you can change settings, how to show those settings in a UI on the camera's little display, all that kind of stuff. And if everyone is interested and wants to go forward, then let me know in comments and stuff so that I actually know that this is something that people are interested in. Thank you for watching my tutorial.